The Union are officially on the board in 2025. We'll go over the team's win in Orlando, what's in store for the home opener this weekend, and a very special guest joins the show. All that and more as Union Insider starts right now. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Union Insider presented by Independence Blue Cross. I'm Marisa, and I'm alongside two club legends, Sebastian Letou and Sheanon Williams. I gotta stop saying that because you guys are gonna get big heads. But in any way, kicking off a season in any sport, a victory is always the goal, right? And for the Union, that meant searching for their first W of the year down in Orlando this weekend. And the boys in blue came to play in the Sunshine State, picking up 4 goals and 3 points in the process. Here's how it all went down in Orlando.
Welcome back to Inter-Co Stadium in Orlando, where the Philadelphia Union clash with Orlando City SC in the first game of the 2025 season.
It's early days in the season. How quickly can you get on the same page with your teammates? How quickly can they settle into this game and get themselves going?
From Orlando City into the penalty area and smashed home by the newcomer, Marco.
They find themselves 1-0 up 8 minutes into this game, not the start that the Union wanted.
For Bunker inside the 18th, the cross, and it's hammered in by the Union! Ty Baribo comes inside.
Ball wearing the captain's band for Orlando City. Dangerous ball served in, and this one is turned home.
Ua gets one.
And Ua scores at the top of the 18 after a misplay by Schlegel. Ua back-to-back goals.
Santos with a chance to whip it across. He will.
Over to Muriel. Blake with the save time. A chance to cross, and it's tapped in for Ty Baribo. Coming inside and gets the 4th goal tonight. And the club takes it 4-2 over Orlando to begin the 2025 campaign. What a statement to begin the new season.
Let's get the music on.
What a statement indeed for the Philadelphia Union. This was the first regular season match under their new head coach, Bradley Carnell. And the first few minutes of this match were shaky, conceding a goal in the first 8 minutes. But what did the Union show about themselves to turn this around?
I think they showed a great reaction. The fact that they came at halftime, at 1-1, knowing that, like you say, I think the first 20 minutes we saw Orlando, really flying out of the gate, putting a lot of pressure into the Union defense and giving up a goal, very quickly. But then we are kind of thinking, how is it going to happen? But I think the group really reacted well, equalizing, by Baribo at halftime, and then you can see coming from, the second half, a different kind of phase from the Union, pressing, really doing great thing, offensively. You can see the way kind of Bradley Carnell wants the team to play by pressing forward, scoring off the mistake of Orlando, and it's what happened during that game. So a lot of positive offensively, scoring 4 goals against Orlando, who is one of the top team in the East. It's not something we are thinking about. I was going to be thinking it would be a close game, but it's great to see that the offense is already at the top right now. Could we, of course, do better defensively? I think it's still the work, doing for the team. But I love, what Bradley Carnell said at the end of the game during his press conference. It's just 3 points. We are not going to get too ecstatic about it. That's great, to have a W to start the season. But there's still a lot of work to be done, and the team, can definitely keep, rising their level and play better.
Yeah, Sheanon, as Seba said, this was a result that not many people were expecting. Orlando was an Eastern Conference finalist last year, and the Union didn't even make the playoffs. And you were in that game in the stadium watching it live. What's the biggest impression you took away from this team?
Just how willing they were to work for one another. This is still a team that has the main parts of it still together and intact. I know that there's a new head coach. I know that there's some new pieces in and around the team, but the core of it's still the same. So after going down 1-0, they still have those guys that have been in those dogfights for all those years that the Union have been successful. They did a great job of reacting to that, and I think that they did an even better job putting the pressure as the away team on Orlando to make those mistakes that led to goals.
Yeah, speaking of goals, Ty Baribo had 2, Mikael Ua, Daniel Gazdag each scored 1. This is a trio that started to get the wheels turning a little bit together at the end of last season. What have you seen developed from them at the start of this one?
I mean, you can see the work they've been doing together, even if the team started a little bit different with more flat, like midfield with Denley and Lukic together. Gazdag was more a bit on the right side, during that game, but he did a great job, helping, pressing, with the front three. Sometimes you saw Baribo in the second half kind of dropping, try to mark the number 6 of Orlando, but he really worked well because then when they move forward, the three of them was usually always in the box, and it's what you want to see. And having them scoring, in the first goal, that's very great for the confidence. And knowing that we don't talk about it yet, but we have a new forward who just signed for the team, so it's going to be a great competition between the three of them, and then it's going to be the hard choice, for the coach to make who is going to start each game, and they have to keep producing goals. So it's great to see, and we want more now from them.
Well, there were a lot of standout moments from the Union's 4-2 win over Orlando on Saturday, but there's one in particular we want to take a closer look at, which is going to be this week's key play of the week presented by Subaru. Sheanon is breaking it down for us. It's Ty Baribo's equalizing goal.
Thank you, Marisa. Wanted to highlight Ty Baribo's early goal. A lot of question marks going into the season. How is Bradley Carnell's team going to play? And I think some of those questions were answered early on. Right off the bat, you're seeing that immediate pressure. Do a good job to win the ball back, and that creates more opportunities for this Union side. We see Frankie Westfield getting down that right-hand side, and this first cross gets driven in. And then just want to highlight the press again. Quinn Sullivan running down a ball and winning it back. Doesn't get it that time, but ends up getting it the next time. And this ends up leading up to the goal here. Does a good job just to find a player in space, and then they fill the box. Talk about making your own luck, have a little bit of a shank and a deflection, and with that immediate press, Kai is in a good spot, and he puts it on a platter for Ty Baribo, and that was the equalizing goal, and the Union took off from there. But again, that immediate pressure, I thought, led to a lot of opportunities for this Union team.
We've got more Union Insider for you in a bit, but first, here's your Union trivia question presented by United Concordia. The Union scored 4 goals in the season opener against Orlando, but how many other times had the Union scored 4+ goals in a season opening game? Find out the answer later in the show. Welcome back to Union Insider presented by Independence Blue Cross. The Union will be hosting FC Cincinnati on Saturday for the 2025 home opener. And while a lot of familiar faces will be back for Game 1 at Subaru Park, one former off-the-field mainstay will be making his return to Chester. The team's usual radio announcer Dave Leno will be away for this game, but don't get too upset because filling in is former Union broadcaster and soccer broadcasting legend and Hall of Famer, the one, the only, JP Dellacamera. So happy to have you with us, JP.
Happy to be on this show. Happy to be back in Chester on Saturday to call it a Union game.
What excites you the most about being back in Chester calling a Union match?
Well, I must say, while I think MLS is a great league, MLS is not something that I've missed, but calling Union games, I have missed greatly. I did it for 13 years, every weekend, taking the train up from Connecticut, calling the game, going back home, getting to know a lot about Philadelphia, the city itself, its fans. I had so many great memories, and still have, of my time with the Philadelphia Union, from broadcasting games where Seba and Sheanon were playing and working with them as well on broadcast, working with you, Marisa, as well. From ownership, management, coaches, players, fans, staff, everything was great in Philadelphia. So that's the part that I miss, not coming to Union games every week.
Yeah, everything great is in Philadelphia, but what's making the stadium even greater is that they're naming the broadcast booth after you, in your honor. How emotional is that for you?
Well, when I was first asked about it, I was touched, humbled. It's an amazing, amazing honor to think that while I'm not there, my name is there for people to see, my broadcasting colleagues. If I get called in as a fill-in for Dave again, I can see it. I think it's an amazing, amazing honor. Can't put it into words. It was emotional when I heard about it. I think it'll be more emotional on Saturday when I actually see it.
And JP, I'm excited, to be with you on Saturday. Now, having your name in, the booth, we share both our last name now in the stadium, which is nice. Now, just my name, but now you are going to be on. But I had a question for you. The fact that you have so many analysts, commented the game for the Union all those years. Is there one game in particular you really remember all those years?
Yeah, the Glessner's goal for sure. I played it back again today because I thought, maybe I'd be asked that question. Probably the most exciting goal call that I had with the Philadelphia Union, not because of my goal call, but because of the goal itself. So I think that's the one, Seba, that I remember the most. On a lesser note, I remember that MLS Cup final. We did the game on radio, myself and Danny Higginbottom, and it was such an up and down game, and it was such a great game that I hadn't even thought about it until when the game ended, and I heard people say could have been the greatest MLS Cup ever. And then I started to think, you know what? It probably was. The only sad part about that night was I felt bad for the team because they gave everything they had, and I truly thought they were going to win MLS Cup that year.
Nice. Yeah, it's a too good game, that's for sure.
JP, congrats on the booth naming. Well deserved. Definitely somebody that, when I was growing up, heard on TV all the time, and you've been such a mainstay in the broadcast booth, so well deserved. And just for me, a two-part question. With somebody that's been around MLS so long, what are the biggest differences that you've noticed from the start of it to now? And how much do you think needs to be done to keep pushing it along to become a league of choice for players?
Well, I think it's a great league. I think spending more money helps. I think you go back. I think the biggest things that have happened to MLS over the years, and I've said this before, is soccer-specific stadiums, teams building their own training facilities. And one of the things that doesn't get noticed as much, remember back, Sheanon, when you were playing, and Seba as well, the supporters groups didn't travel like they do today. I think that's made all the difference in the world. When you have a game at, let's say, it used to be Red Bull Arena, now they've changed the name, but when you had a game there or a game at Subaru Park and you had visiting fans travel, they make the home fans even louder. Hard to imagine it being louder at Subaru Park, but it is louder when you have Red Bulls fans there or NYCFC fans there. And I remember times when Seattle Sounders fans travel there. So I think the traveling supporters have made a big difference as well. But the more money that MLS spends and attracts the big players, Messi was a home run, obviously, but who comes next? Messi's not going to play forever. So I think MLS just has to keep doing what they're doing, and they will be a premier destination for years to come.
JP, I know you're already probably so deep into your prep for Saturday's match, so give us a little preview of what you'll be watching or anticipating for this home opener.
Well, I think hopefully it's going to be another great crowd there. I'm looking forward to seeing Andre Blake again in goal. I think the reason that they didn't make the playoffs last year, plain and simple, even though there's other factors, Andre Blake played less than half a year. Still, they only missed the playoffs by 3 points. Andre's going to miss some time this year with Jamaica playing for the Gold Cup, but if he's healthy, if he plays a majority of the games, this team should be in the playoffs. I think your best players came to play, certainly on opening day. Ua scoring, Baribo scoring twice, Gazdag getting a goal. I think that if they have the kind of years that they can have, the team is built for success. I think that some of the new additions are going to be interesting. Whether it's Lukic, Glavinovic, Damiani, we're all anxious to see what he can bring. But for this particular game, I think FC Cincinnati is a definite, not only a playoff team, but they're a contender for first place. They're in the running, I think, for the Supporters' Shield. I think when you get to see Evander, who you saw last year play for Portland, now you add Kevin Denke to this. Denke has played in 3 games now in all competitions. He scored in each. He could be a handful for the Union on Saturday.
Yeah, and a handful for other teams with the Union were Sebastian Letou and Sheanon Williams. So if you can think back to their playing days, give me one word to describe each of them as a player.
Wow.
Awesome.
Sebastian, I'm going to go, you're pushing me. I don't like these questions. I'm going to say for Sebastian, electric, if I could say one word. I mean, so many words come to mind, but you're giving me one, so I'll go with electric. And for Sheanon, I'm going to go with dynamic.
Wow. So we have the duo of
Those
electric
guys
and
happy with that?
dynamic.
Yeah.
Are they good?
I think they're happy. JP, thank you so much for your time. I know fans are going to be so excited to hear your voice, and I know Seba's so excited to work with you.
I know. I see you tomorrow, JP. Waiting for it.
See you tomorrow. I'm excited about Saturday.
See ya. All right, we're coming up on a break for Union Insider, but when we return, we'll preview the Union's home opener as the club takes on FC Cincinnati on Saturday. We'll be right back after this. Time for this week's Union Update presented by Torque. The Union made another big acquisition this past week, acquiring U.S. international Indiana Vasilev from St. Louis SC for fees totaling $1 million with an additional $250,000 in potential performance bonuses. Vasilev spent the last 2 seasons at SLC, registering 5 goals and 9 assists in 63 regular season games. Welcome back to Union Insider, presented by Independence Blue Cross. I'm Marisa Pilla, Sebastian Latou, Sheanon Williams, all here to help preview this weekend's Union home opener against FC Cincinnati and this week's Keys to the Game, presented by Subaru. Seba, you are up first.
All right, thank you very much. Since it's our first home game, we just come off a win, in Orlando. I think with the help of the crowd, we need to right away put pressure, on the Cincinnati defense and try to win those second ball in the midfield are going to be very important to be able to get a quick attack and score the goal. So let's see how the Union start, but I'm really thinking that Bradley Carnell is going to have the team for the first 50 minutes, to play high, really put some pressure and put the ball, into the half of Cincinnati and see what the Union can create from there. And if they keep the pressure, especially we saw in a good moment against Orlando, choose the right, moment to really put and have the high line, of the defense, winning those second balls, it could be a great thing for the Union to get the W again.
All right, Sheanon, your key?
I'm going to piggyback off Seba and say, can they create off those chances? They did a great job of it last week. It led to a couple goals. Can they do that at home? I think this home crowd is going to be behind them, and that's just going to even boost them even more to go and press the ball and try it, win it back in Cincinnati's own end. If they can do a good job of that, then I think they'll be able to create chances and score goals.
And Seba, when we're scouting FC Cincinnati, what do the Union need to keep on the forefront of their mind when they're planning that game plan out?
I mean, we also, the change the Cincinnati team had more in their attack, with Denke coming into the team, a big acquisition, for Cincinnati as a number 9, and you have Evander coming from Portland who changed the team as well. No more Lucho Acosta, so it's going to be a different style of offense, for Cincinnati, but Denke is really, I think, the person the Union defense needs to really don't give a lot of space because he can really be very strong holding the ball, turning, and then going at them. So can they, keep Denke off the ball? It's going to be a tough task, but it's going to be, I think, the player to watch for the defense.
And Sheanon, the Union had a real statement win to open up the season last weekend in Orlando. What is the biggest thing they need to carry over into this game?
Just take it one game at a time. Bradley Carnell talked about it was just 3 points. This is another 3 points that is up on the line, and this one's at home. I think this one's even more important. It means little when you go away and you win games and then you come home and you lose. So going to be a great way to open up the season at Subaru Park. Exciting game, and hopefully the Union can carry out their momentum that they had in Orlando City to this game.
Yeah, so the last time these two teams met at Subaru Park was last season, Decision Day. Let's not get into what happened for the Philadelphia Union on that day, but what is the biggest change both teams have made since the last time these two teams met?
I mean, for the Union, of course, the biggest change is the coaching. The Bradley Carnell coming in, bringing something different than we saw in the past 7 years for the Union. A different look at the team and at the player. We have some change, of course, in every line of the Union. But I think the coaching, it's a big piece for the Union to bring something different and kind of now get past the fact that we didn't make the playoff last season and we kind of get back to it this year. And for Cincinnati, I would just talk about it. I think it's their offense. They have the same defense, the same midfield, but the acquisition of Evander and Denke, it's a big, acquisition for them. And so far, the number 9 of Kevin Denke has been scoring every time he plays for Cincinnati. So we want to keep him off, the book for this game and make sure we have an eye on him.
Well, it's time for the last break of the show, but when we return, these two are going to give us their final thoughts heading into the home opener. Union Insider will wrap up after this. Here's the answer to this week's Union Trivia question presented by United Concordia. The Union have scored 4 or more goals one other time in a season opening game, which was just 2 seasons ago. The Union defeated Columbus Crew 4-1 at Subaru Park on February 25th, 2023, with Daniel Gazdag and Julian Carranza both recording braces to lead the Union to a victory to start the 2023 season. All right, it is the final segment here on Union Insider presented by Independence Blue Cross, and it's time for these guys to share their final thoughts for the show. Seba, you're up first.
I mean, a home opener, it's always exciting for the player as much as, for the fans. So, can, like Sheanon said, can they bring the momentum from the win, in Orlando to the stadium of Subaru Park, and we all know last year we were not very successful at home, but can we start, in the right way against, Cincinnati is one, I think, of the maybe best team in the Eastern right now from the experts. We'll see what the Union can do, but it's another, tough test, for the team at home. Could they get a positive result? I think so, but it's going to take everybody again, and of course, the support of all the fans.
Yeah, it's such a great matchup for a home opener, this environment for sure. Sheanon, what about you?
My final thought is going to be just looking forward to seeing the new player additions with Vasilev and Bruno up top. I think those are going to be two huge pieces for our attack this season, looking to see how they integrate into the team. And then, like Seba talked about, just trying to carry that momentum forward into the home opener. Want to make sure that you get this season started off on the right track. We talked about how hard it is to win on the road. This Subaru Park is supposed to be their fortress and how they can pick up points.
Yeah, there's nothing like a home opener. Very excited for this weekend. That's going to do it for this one. The Union are back at home for the first time at Subaru Park in 2025. They'll take on FC Cincinnati for the first time this season. Seba will be alongside JP Delacamera on the radio call on 97.5 The Fanatic, and the game can also be seen on MLS Season Pass. For Sheanon and Seba, I'm Marisa, and we'll see you next week.